Hi guys, and welcome to Airability, your regular dose of lead therapy. I'm back in the shed for a part 2 on the Falcon Optical Systems T50i Plus, the latest iteration of this wonderful scope in the T50i range. Now, the last video I took you through all the features and what I thought of it, and yes, it was a fanboy review. And I need to remind people, I only review things that I like on this channel. There's an awful lot of stuff never reaches review. And no, I'm not going to do negative reviews, but I am going to promote the products that I like. So I thought there was some unfinished business with the part 1, the first look at the T50i Plus. And that was, we didn't see it perform. And now my scope cam arrived earlier in the week. I've fitted it onto my match rifle with the T50i Plus. Yeah, it made a pretty damn good partnership. And I've been out in the garden and I have done a target, which I'll show you in a moment. And then I went out to my practice field, which is always very challenging. And I've done a video where I've got the wind flags and the target up at the same time to try and show you what I'm actually doing when I shoot. And hopefully this will give you a flavour of how the T50i Plus works. What I will say is, when you attach any optical device to a scope, you lose that fantastic brilliance and resolution that you have with the original scope. But as I said before, it gives you a fantastic flavour of what to expect if you bought one of these scopes. Now, why don't we go and have a look and see what I did when I shot it in the garden. First card, shooting with my new scope cam. This is the first kind of like proper card that I'm going to set out about and do. I've done some messing about yesterday trying to set the scope cam up to varying degrees of success, but I think today I pretty much got the reticle nice and clear there, and the target clear. What I will say is, looking through this scope cam, when it's attached to the scope, it kind of kills all that beautiful, you know, vision this scope has with the new improved lenses, etc. It makes it look like you're looking through a bathroom door a bit, toilet, what am I saying, hotel room door a little bit. But what I will say is everything's there for you to see how it performs. I do have to even alter how I sit at the gun slightly. I have to come back a bit and the gun goes forward a little bit, so everything's not quite as familiar as it would be. I put it on my match rifle. You know, this scope was meant to go to Tom this week. But the scope cam was late, so luckily I had an excuse to keep it an extra week. I don't know what Tom would do with this scope because it's clearly built for professionals, and I think it'd struggle with its power. But you know, somehow the guy's going to fumble through with it, isn't he? So there we go, we've had a couple of sighters there, and we're going to move on to the main targets now. Right, anybody will be able to see there, here's my wind flags at the top. And you know, before people say shooting at home is nothing like shooting in a competition, in a field, in the wind. You know, over half of the distance to the target is in my shed, but I'm still getting some kind of like atmospheric drops today with the wind. It's pushing over the top of the shed, and I'm going to come up a click there and see if I can zone myself into some X's. Normally I would go across to the sight of targets and finesse it out, but I don't want to be shooting too long and bore you. So I'll make me adjustments as I go, on the fly as they say, and we'll see how we go. As long as we're getting 10s, we'll be happy. Whoa, went a bit far there. We'll come back down one, See, the thing is, you can over adjust. So I will go across to the side of there. Right, might be bang on. So we'll give this a go, eh? So there you go. Once you get a bit of clear wind, we're away. Can you see how you can play around with the that beautiful clear centre dot? Just have a look here, the wind's coming back up, my wind flags are wibbly wobbling. But you can play around with that central dot on the scope. For the people who aren't adventure shooters, I'm shooting at approximately a 2mm bull here. These aren't competition targets, they're just some that me and my mates do. I do a version of this. And there we go. So we're plodding along quite nicely. If this was indoors, we'd be getting some pretty fantastic results. And remember, many of these would probe out the B&X. I'm definitely going to probe that one at the top to see if it's a 10. Because this one up here, because I'd like my first target that I'm showing off me, you know, me scope cam to be a 250. But like I say, I don't like to probe them at home, because with all the advantages you have shooting at home, you shouldn't need to probe them. But when you're out in the field or you're at a competition, probe all the way. I can't tell you how many competitions I've won when the probe's been favourable. So you might see now the wind came up and the reticle was moving around. That was actually the shed shaking, because it's on little legs. Little legs like me, really. There we go. The wind's come back down again. So like I say, normally I would have waited for the huffing and puffing to go. But I'm trying to keep this a short target for you guys, so I'm not boring the living daylights out of here. And as you can see, we're getting some water starting to blow now a bit. We'll go back to the target. There, when the shed stops creaking, I pull the trigger. Well, it's you know, that's what I tried to do anyway. The shed's probably the best wind flag in the world. I wish I could take it to competitions with me, but some of the rules prohibit shooting from a shed. There you go. This isn't going bad actually, considering it's a wooden pellet test on a day like this. On a day like this, I'd be practicing my fundamentals like trigger control, target acquisition, rapid shooting for when you know, learn how to take advantage of a wind pattern. I wouldn't 100% be looking to see if I've got flies and things like that, because I can't tell what's the wind and what isn't. So the Windy app, which is the go-to app for all bench rest shooters in the UK at the moment, says that it's about 22 mile an hour in Darlington. And that reticle's still squidging about there because the shed's, I can feel the shed wobbling. I need to get that bloke back who built this shed. There, can we see the card moving there? Just going to give it a sec. There we go. I knew that was coming. There. As I said, in between the gusts. Hundreds of hours in the shed. I know when there's a gust coming. Well, mostly. Saying that, I'm probably going to drop this shot, aren't I? Can you see the shed moving? There we go. Well, I don't think that's a bad place to end that card. Well, it was a bit of a squeaker, but it came out as a 250 in the end. And I know it's extremely favourable conditions in the garden, but it just shows that this scope is as capable as any other scope, no matter the price. Now, let's have a look what happened when I took it to the field. This is actually a video of my garden the day I went to the field to test the scope. Little did I know what was going to happen. Right guys, this is my attempted shoot in the wind. I was out at 7 o'clock this morning and had to go back to the house because of problems with the camera, etc. I'm back out in the field. As you can see, the wind has really come up. I probably won't be able to do a full card or it'll be really boring, but we'll shoot a couple of lines and see how we go. It might be a little windy, but we're going to persevere and see how the scope performs. As I keep saying, the scope cam doesn't do this scope justice, but it gives you a taste of how the scope performs. And as you can see, I'm shooting way off the mark here, desperately searching for the bull. It took about 15 minutes to shoot these 3 targets, waiting for the wind to die down to a level I could shoot, and the footage is heavily edited, but I just want to show you how I use the increments on the scope to calculate the hold off from the bull whilst looking at the wind flags. As you can see, you can do this quite accurately with this type of scope. A bench rest scope would normally have a smooth reticle and you calculate the hold off using the rings on the target. But as you can see, this does quite a really clear job, and I need to tell you that the bench was, I shoot outdoors, I don't have any cover, so the wind was hitting me, hitting the gun, hitting the bench, I was wobbling, the target was wobbling, the earth was wobbling, and we even had to take the tape measure in because that was flying about. Things got absolutely ridiculous. But patience paid off, and I managed to get a couple of good shots for you to show you how you can calculate the wind, be patient, and you can see here that when the wind drops to a reasonable level, I release a shot. Now I did only get 3 really good shots here. If I'd have gone and shot a whole card for you, this would have literally been about a 2-hour long video. The wind was that ridiculous. But anyway, as you can see, I'm choosing to hold off a little bit more this time. I'm waiting for the wind to come down. Can you see it change there? And away we go. Well, I call this a Tommy Bennett day. After trying to be patient, waiting for the wind just built and built and built up, and I couldn't hit a thing. So after about another 40 minutes of this, I pretty much gave up, because you can see what the scope's capable of. Well, all I can say is that, you know, it's beautifully clear. Those increments come in handy on the reticle when you're shooting in the field. It's not necessarily a traditional bench rest shooter scope, because usually the reticles are smooth without any increments, but I find it really helpful. And as you can see, you can use it to calculate your hold off with great accuracy. So again, the scope worked beautifully. If your rifle can accommodate the weight, there is no reason at all why you shouldn't buy one of these T50i pluses. Until the next time, guys, get out there and live that airgun dream, and take care. Bye bye.